I have to be up for work at this time. Who's gonna watch my baby? It's a lot on your plate. I felt like I wasn't able to do my job at work anymore. I was scared of the sound of gunfire, and it took an absolute mental toll on me.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Latler, your host of the LEO First podcast, and I'm excited today. You guys know this is probably my second time in LA, and I've been given the opportunity and fortunate enough to interview a detective here that actually works in LA. Now, if you're wondering where we're at, I know this doesn't look like a typical studio setup or a special room that was designed for podcasting, but as you guys know, when I do my podcast on the road, I like to go wherever I can find. So we are actually at the LAPD Police Academy at Legion Park. What I didn't realize was when I was driving up, it is literally, and when I say literally, it is walking distance from the Dodger Stadium. And I was thinking about going to the game, but driving by there may have solidified my opportunities. It just depends on if I want to deal with the traffic and stick around that long. But once again, guys, thank you for being on. Thank you for joining us. You know, the goal of this podcast is always to humanize officers who are in the role or have been in the role. And I know based on some of the things you're going to hear from Erika today, you're going to be impressed because I met her a few years ago at a WILLE conference, Women Leaders in Law Enforcement, and I've been trying to get her on the podcast. I've been trying to break her because this is only going to be her second one. Second one. So you know me, guys. I love to put people in tough spots because I like to be in tough spots. And if you see any kind of perspiration, I'm sweating a little bit, but she's glistening because you know, guys, we can sweat, women glisten, so it's a little different. Right. So, but you know what? The cool part is it's LA. It's August, and I think it's probably about 9 degrees. So we just make it work, but thank you guys for coming on and being part. Once again, I don't want to ramble too much, but I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of Erika's work history and some of the stuff she has going on the outside, just so you know how great of a person she has been and is going to be. She joined the LAPD in 2005, same year I joined. I joined in January at 19. So I know 2005 was a good year for a lot of people, so right. That worked out perfectly. Some of the roles she has occupied, she's been a prostitution enforcement officer, she's been in Vice, she's been in the Citywide Human Trafficking Unit, she's been in Violent Crime Task Force, now she was also a senior lead officer, and now since 2019 she's been a detective at the Major Assault Crimes. So needs to say she's done a lot, and in a department that has nearly 18,000 officers or personnel, it's good to see that you actually moved around already a lot versus just staying in one position. Because, you know, the more you move around, the more you have a more open perspective of law enforcement and your agency. So some of the other things she did, she's currently the Sergeant at Arms for the Los Angeles Women's Police Officers and Associates. She's a board member of Corner Now, one cool thing that I have been following on, and I want to make sure you guys do it, and I'll put this hashtag on the video, is that she has an Instagram account that she's doing really good on, really good. She doesn't even do a lot of posts. She just does stories and she wins. So that should tell you how popular she is. And that is LA50, like it's LAFIV as in Victor, EOH. So if you haven't followed her, make sure you go follow her. That's her Instagram. And then finally, which I know is probably the most important part of her life, I know it is for what's been for me, is she's married and she has 3 kids. Boys at that. 8, 10, and 13. So that was a quick rundown of your history. So Erika Kirk, tell us what you want to talk about today.
Wow. Well, thank you for that introduction. I am humbled and it is such a pleasure to be here. Like you said, it took a minute for you to get me here. And you're really hyping up this social media. But I think really, you know, what I want people to kind of know is that I have this social media, but it's a great platform, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to use that platform for. You know, as a woman in this agency, in this department, it hasn't been easy, but I love what I do, and so I'm happy to be here. I will say that I was promoted from Sergeant at Arms to the Vice President of the Los Angeles Women Police Officers and Associates, and so this will be my 4th year with them. and it's something that I'm very passionate about.
So it's crazy. I'm gonna go back to the woman in law enforcement because I know one thing that I learned when I came back here in 2022 to the Willie Conference was the 30 by 30 initiative.
Yes.
And if you don't know what that is, that's an initiative designed to have 30% of women in the law enforcement industry in this role by 2030. And you've been in the role since 2005, so obviously you're well ahead of that number. All the you've done a lot already. Like, how has some of that like impacted your family life?
So it's difficult, especially with three boys.
Mm-hmm.
I knew early on that I wanted a family. Um, and in the beginning of my career, I had no fear. I was like, let's get this. I was an undercover prostitute. I was out on the streets and I loved it. And it wasn't until I had my first baby that it kind of changed my mindset. So that fear set in. But I knew that I still had to provide. So I had to still put on that uniform, put on that badge, go to work every day, but still come home to my family. I knew that promoting within the department may not be as difficult as other agencies because we do have so many people in this department. But I had to really, I had to work for it. My initial goal coming on the department was I wanted to be a detective. Mm-hmm. Us women, we feel like we can figure everything out. So, I was young and I'm like, oh, I want to be a detective. And someone said, well, just join LAPD. Well, 15 years later, it took to become a detective. Mm-hmm. And so through all of that, it was all this hard work and studying and test taking. And I ultimately got there. So here I am.
And you did this while raising children. One of the things that we talked about in our pre-event, we had another woman here who just got back off of maternity leave. Or she's probably not really back, but she's back to work.
Yes.
How has it been? Because that's one of the things that I know, at least I personally have not experienced. I'm not a woman. I'm a male through and through. Like, there's no changes. I'm a male.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, I clarified because, state of California, I just got to make sure we're on the same page. But being a woman, raising kids, it's a whole nother level of like adversity you have to come over. So like if there's a woman watching or there's somebody's wife watching or there's somebody that just like, they're like, man, I don't know if I can do this in the industry. Like, what are some of the things that you were successfully able to implement as a woman police officer trying to raise your boys in this environment?
So for me, I feel like it was the circle of people that I had around me. Okay. And, they say it takes a village. Mm-hmm. I certainly could not have done this alone. Mm-hmm. And I learned that early in my career, I needed those people. And I think one of the things that I want other women and people to know is that you're not alone. Mm-hmm. So many times you feel like nobody understands what I'm going through. I'm working late night. I'm nursing a brand new baby. I have to be up for work at this time. Who's going to watch my baby? It's a lot on your plate. And so what I learned early on is that when you create a network of people to support you and to empower you, that it really helps get you through those hard times. And I was fortunate enough to stumble upon LAPOA, the Los Angeles Women Police Officers and Associates.
Which are doing good things. Yeah, from what I can see. I live in Texas and I can see the quality of work that they're putting out.
Right. And we're here to empower, uplift, and support other women that feel like they're in that same position of how am I going to come out of this? Mm-hmm. And so I really have to attribute my success to my family, and to the friends that have become family on this department, my partners, my great friends, because this has become my livelihood. And so without them, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I'm at.
Yeah, and you shouldn't try to separate the two because in an industry that's so tough, our brains really don't work like that. Like I know early on in 2005 when I started, it was like, okay, leave work at work and leave home at home. That's not reality. Like, your brain doesn't really have an off and on switch like people say. Now we're starting to see through different studies and higher suicide rates and depression and PTSD that when we told people that, we were actually wrong. But now we're realizing, like you said, you build a community around you, you get your tribe, you get your inner circle, and when they're in place, that's what's helping you overcome, because you're going to have, with or without kids, you're going to have bad days at work.
Absolutely.
Like, and when you come home Anybody that has kids right now, if you're watching, you know they're at 150 no matter what you have going on. Like, they don't care if you saw 3 dead bodies. They don't care if you
Yeah.
got in a foot pursuit and blew your knee out. They don't care if you've been sitting in sweat and traffic patrol all day. They don't care. They just know mom's home, dad's home. Let's go all in. I've been waiting for you to tell you about what I did in school. I want to
Right.
go to the park. I got this going on. So, like you said, I think it's very good to have that community. So, to add to that, you mentioned something before, and I don't know the answer to this, so this is going to be a surprise for me. You said you had a story you wanted somebody to know about you. So what does that look like?
So in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
I was in the middle of one of the nation's largest mass shooting in Las Vegas, Route 91. I was celebrating my wedding anniversary, and shots start ringing down. And in that moment, I didn't know if I was going to survive. And at the time, I had, several years on the job, and I had yet to experience anything like that. And so through that, it took a lot to overcome, because you're so used to running into the fire.
Correct.
And during this moment, I had to run for my life, and I had my kids on my mind. How am I going to come out of this? But it wasn't until everything was said and done that the real healing and grieving took place. And so shortly after, my husband was involved in an officer-involved shooting at work. So coupled with the mass shooting, coupled with this incident, it was a struggle for me. I felt like I wasn't able to do my job at work anymore. I was scared of the sound of gunfire, and it took an absolute mental toll on me. And to be honest, I didn't know how I was going to come out of it. And so I really had to take a look at my life, where I was at, my children, and I had to pull myself out, because if I wanted to be successful in this career, and if I wanted to survive for my family, I had to pull myself out of that black hole. And I will say that it took probably a good 4 years, but through meditation, through different healing modalities, through breath work, we were just talking about breath work, but through all of those things, it's what helped me overcome. But what I realized kind of in the end was that incident, I think, combined with everything else that I've seen on this job, is what brought me down into that dark place. And if I didn't have that circle surrounding me, and the family and the friends to pull me out, I don't think that I would have survived. I think I would have had a mental breakdown.
And it's not surprising. Like you said, like, even prior to 2017, at that point, you have 12 years in law
Right.
enforcement. So, although you were never involved in an officer-involved shooting, like you said, at that point,
Right.
it's still a lot to bear with. Like, it doesn't matter. I tell people, I don't care how much training you have gone through, until you're in it, you don't know how it feels.
You
And like
have no
me,
idea.
and me, like, I can tell you, I've never been in an officer-involved shooting, but I never criticize people when I see them in it. Like, my first thought is, man, what was going on in that person's life? Like,
Right.
whether we deem it unnecessary later on or necessary, I'm like, man, what was going on? Because we just don't know.
Right. It's kind of like, people always think they know how they're going to react.
Correct.
So if someone ever said, Mike, if you got punched in the face, how would you react? And you're like, oh, I'm going to hit him back, obviously.
Mhm.
Until you get punched in the face, you're not going to realize, you're not going
Right.
to understand how you're going to react.
Mhm.
Just like in this mass shooting, right? Shots are ringing down. It's fight or flight. Am I going to freeze, or am I going to run? And in that moment, thankfully I stayed calm, and I was able to run.
Mhm.
But I saw a lot of people that froze. They didn't know how they were going to react. So all of these things that we see on this job, I mean, from death to human trafficking victims,
And you've seen a lot of some of that people. I go back to this, and
yes.
you've seen a lot before all of this too. So
you see
yeah.
all of it. And so how do you get out of that? How do you separate that from life, from real life? And so it's really about finding an outlet and being the best version of yourself and being self-aware. Otherwise, it's going to eat you alive, and you're going to end up retiring. And then what? You're going to retire. You're going to be disgruntled. You're going to have all of this heavy stuff weighing on you. Um, and instead of being, I look at it like I'm thankful for what I have and the lessons that I've learned,
Hmm.
because I'm able to be appreciative for what I was taught. So,
Yeah, and it's even going back to that year, just thinking about your family situation. Like
mhm.
1 year celebrating an anniversary, but what people, if you just, I want people to calculate the numbers at that time, and I've been trying to calculate in my head. So if I'm wrong, let me know. You had a 1 year old, a 3 year old, and a 6 year old
Yes,
that you had to go that you had on the back of your mind as well.
right.
So not as it just about your safety and your spouse's safety, but now it's like you said, I got three more people that I have to worry about because if I'm not around, I might have a family, but they need their parents.
Right. And now you're trying to get through something. I had a lot of survivor's guilt.
Hmm.
And I think in law enforcement, naturally, we're, have that mindset that we're out to help people, right? So when you're in the middle of something like that and you're not able to save somebody and you see people literally falling from gunfire and you can't save them, um, I had a lot of survivor's guilt. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, I had to come out of this because I have these three babies that I have to take care of. But yet I'm still trying to grieve the loss of all of these lives that I couldn't save.
Hmm.
And it's like, how do you overcome that? Like, that is so heavy. It's almost like you're at work, there's a hostage situation, and you can't save that victim. Are
Hmm.
you going to carry that with you for the duration of your career? It's like, how do you get past that? Um, and I can't be the only one.
Oh yeah, no,
And so
no,
that's
definitely
where
not.
I feel like you're not alone.
Hmm.
There are support groups, there are people out there that are on your side that understand what you're going through. As a woman on this job, um, sometimes you feel alone. You come back from maternity leave and you don't fit in your regular clothes or your
Yeah.
uniform and you're expected to perform. Um, and it takes a toll on you mentally.
Mhm.
So it's a lot.
It is no, and you're talking
Yeah.
about minutes. So I just get worried about when I come back from vacation, fitting my clothes.
Right after you've eaten
Yeah,
everything under the
shoot,
sun.
shoot, you done
Yeah.
sent me to this place, and
Yep.
I hope the video sees this. She told me about this place called Guisados, and yes, I know how to say. I lived in Texas. I said I didn't say Guisados. I said Guisados, and I'm thinking about how I'm gonna feel, how to fit back in my clothes afterwards. But needs to say, like going back, like for the maternity side, like you don't know how you're gonna fit in this room. Obviously, you all can't see it right now, but there's clothing which I've never seen before for women who are on or coming off of maternity leave, and it
Yes.
gives them uniform alternates, which is amazing. I've never seen a room like this.
Right, right. We have a program where you can come in and get fitted for a uniform, take it to the tailor when you're expecting. And we don't discriminate. So if we have a member that's a guy and they're overweight or they've lost weight,
Yeah.
it's expensive to have a uniform tailor.
Oh, it is. Yes.
So we offer that for the women. I have this funny story. I was on maternity leave. It was with my first baby, and I came back to work. And at the time, I was only allowed to take 3 months off. So I come back to work, and I had gained 65 pounds during my pregnancy. Okay, so I'm expected to wear. It was a training that we had where we had to wear plain clothes, jeans. Well, none of my jeans fit. I can't
65
wear.
pounds, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, you, yeah, you
yeah.
can't fit in.
I
There's 65 pounds,
right.
you're not fitting back. I don't know.
And I couldn't wear leggings.
Correct.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I put on my maternity jeans because I didn't have anything else that fit. And I go to this training, and it's all these SWAT Metro guys. Metro is our version of SWAT.
Yeah.
And we're doing this like victim rescue, officer rescue, and they're like, okay, Erika, you go be the victim, and we're gonna lift you up by your belt loops, and we're gonna put you in a car and take you to the hospital. Right? It's a training
Okay.
activity. Well, I don't have belt loops because I'm wearing maternity pants.
Yeah.
Okay. So here I am, like one of the only females in this training, and I sit down and I'm thinking, oh God, what's going to happen? They go to pick me up by my belt loops, and I don't have any belt loops. And
Yeah.
someone says, oh, she's wearing preggy pants in the middle of this training. And I was mortified, devastated, right? And everyone's laughing and they think it's so funny. And I get in the car to go home that day, and I'm like, I gotta lose weight. How am I gonna get back into my uniform? But in that moment, I felt so alone. I felt like no one understands what I'm going through. And that's part of the reason why we have this program. It's like, look, you need some jeans, we'll help you fit into them. Like, here's a maternity uniform. but yeah, it's those things like that that other people don't think about, right? These moms are like, we have to come back to work. We're still, postpartum.
Correct.
How are we supposed to just come into this capacity of being a cop again when all you can think about is losing the weight, nursing your baby, and leaving your baby for the first time? So I'm super grateful that I'm part of an organization like La Poa that can help facilitate, the uplifting of women in that capacity. So
Yeah, and it's cool to hear that because, like I said, in my 20 years of law enforcement, I've never really heard of that. Like having these options, and that doesn't mean nobody else
yeah,
has it. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago or the sheriff's department or NYPD if they had it. I just hadn't seen it, but when I saw it, I was like, man, there's a lot of uniforms up there. And then when you all started explaining, and the woman came in, I was like, oh, this is what it is. She's exchanging uniforms. So, but it's one of those things that when you're not, for example, like a guy, I'm not pregnant, so how would I know? But
right.
but then that's just that one extra stress, a whole other stress level that you're adding to already being in this industry. But you're right. It's good to know that, like, anybody watching, that they know they're not alone.
Of course. Of course. And we put on a 3-day training. It's Advancing Women in Leadership. And it's not just about advancing us, through the ranks, but it's about empowering each other. And so,
Sticking together.
right. And
Yeah.
one of the biggest things and the issues that I think that we have, believe it or not, is that women are against other women. So they come on this job thinking like,
Men, we stay out of this one. We
Right,
we gotta stay out of this. We gotta stay out of this pocket.
yes. And so that's why I love being a part of this group, is because I want to show other women that we're in this together. This is all we've got. We've got to stick through it. And in the beginning of the training, I tell everybody, I know all of you don't know each other, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to be my friend because everyone's my friend. When I leave, I'm like, oh, now we're friends. We're best friends.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to that tribe, that network of people to get you through life and get you through this career successfully. So,
And it's tough. It's just tough
it's
to have to.
hard.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
just
hard.
yeah.
It's like you want to set all these boundaries with people, right? And I'm self-awareness, and I have to put myself first, and I got to fill up my cup before I can fill up anyone else's. But you set all these boundaries, and then you let people cross them. And so it's almost like you've got to set that boundary and stick to it, so that people aren't taking advantage of you. And that, I think, has been one of my things throughout this department, is that I'm really nice, but don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
Correct.
And so again, it's just part of why I love being part of this group. And so I would love to hear what other people think and what they want more of, because like I said, I have this platform and I'm still like, what do I do with this?
I'm
I feel
happy
like,
you said. I'm happy you
know?
said that, because what we're gonna do now, Mark, you guys, or women, whoever's on right now, what I've been doing and what I'm starting to do is Instagram lives.
Oh, okay.
So
I like it.
what I'm thinking is we can both go on Instagram Live. I'll poll some questions ahead of time, and then we can put it out to both of our groups. And then whoever wants to come in, that could be a direct source.
I love that.
And then that way it'll pull people in, and then we're not guessing as much. And then
Right.
obviously, like I did one with a guy named Chris Martinez and Michael Morgan the other
Okay.
night, and we had people coming in. They were asking questions, like talking about like PTSD,
Right.
mental wellness, like
Right.
how did they get through it. So I think just having you on, and like you said, your platform's good, and you have people that are probably, they want to say a question, but they're probably like, I don't really know how to reach out to her.
Right.
So the Instagram Live, I think it will open the door for that. Because we talk about social media, and
Yeah.
we're not going to tell you our age, but we can tell you we understand the concept that social media is growing.
Yes. I like to say I started in 2005. I came on when I was 15.
yeah. Hey, well,
Yeah.
I accept that. Hey, have y'all, whatever number y'all want to get, yeah, 38, we're good with that. But no, Erika, you've been great. If people are looking for you, I know we
Yes.
talked about Instagram. Is there any other way, or is that the main way they can reach you?
That's the main way. I'm there. I'm not anybody that's going to ignore you. If you have a question, if you want mentorship, if you need a resource, like, we have it. I have it. So I can put you in the direction, or send you to somebody that I know that has a resource. Because again, it's working together to get through it. So yes, mostly my Instagram page.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I think as I looked at it earlier today coming in, because I'm always trying to look at things ahead of time. I think you had about 20,000 followers at minimum right now.
Yeah,
Something
give
around
or
there.
take.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's good. So obviously, like I said, she's reaching out, or you guys reach out. That's a great way to reach her. I mean, you just DM or send a message, and she'll get back to you. Any final words?
You're not alone. You're not alone. You're in this with a group of people that are here to support you. So um, I'm here. I know you're there for people. So you know, set that boundary, but don't let anyone mistake your kindness for weakness.
See, keep it simple. You are not alone. Don't overthink the process. And you may have heard other people say that, but we say similar things to let you know, like, you don't have to face this battle of law enforcement, life, marriage, kids by yourself. There's people that's been through it. And if we've gotten this far in our lives, we want you to get to where you're at. Even if you're older or another generation, hey, you might be struggling. Statistically, it tends to be the older generations that are struggling with mental wellness because they have allowed an accumulation of incidents to happen without any family or resources. So you have two people that are willing to help you out. And even if you don't want to reach out to us, find somebody that you trust. Find somebody in your agency that is similar to you and someone that cares about you. Because what hurts some people, I think, is that they go to a person looking for help and that person's not really designed to help. And then that person says no, or they don't give them the help they're looking for, and then they get discouraged.
Right.
There's whole programs out here in this country. Obviously, if you're in LA, I don't want to mess up your acronym, but the law LAWPOA, that's the organization that's definitely promoting women, not just like advancement, but in life, empowerment,
Right.
like mindset. So you don't have to do it alone. But guys, thank you for watching. I think the sweat reversed on me because I was sweating when I started. Now I'm dried out. So you guys know that's kind of weird. It's weird to me too. I don't know if it just kind of went into my pores, but I enjoyed, Erika, you spending some time with us today and sharing some things that you've gone through, even though you thought maybe your story's not that important. Trust me, it is.
Thank
And
you.
I can tell you people that watch it, I will get comments. You might get more comments than me. Just saying that, no, we wanted to hear that. And I don't want anybody to ever think you're alone. So, guys, thank you. If you're not following her, make sure you are. If you like the podcast, which I know you will. If you don't, just act like you didn't see it. But if you do like it, make sure you share it. Make sure you let us know, because at some time in the future, since we already have her online saying that she's going to do an Instagram live, we're going to have that set up as well. But it's going to be for the help of you all. Like you said, we want to open the door because we have seen too many brothers and sisters not making it through this career thinking they were alone, and then we're like, man, you could have just texted me or called me, or you could have just vented to me. You didn't have to take that road. So we're trying to prevent that, and we're trying to make sure you're happy down the road. We already have a hard enough time retaining staff. We don't want you to leave your agency because you felt like you weren't supported. So once again, guys, thank you. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you like it, share it, do whatever you got to do. Let's promote it. But at the end of the day, guys, remember, it's about humanizing the badge and being together because you're not alone. Thank you for everything, guys. Y'all have a great day.